Welcome to D-Explainer. So picture this. Between 1775 and 1783, a group of 13 scrappy, loosely connected American colonies decides to pick a fight with Great Britain. I mean, it is literally one of history's absolute greatest underdog stories. You've got this relatively small, severely underfunded population taking on the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, the most powerful empire on Earth. And they're doing it all driven by this deep-seated, almost stubborn desire for self-governance.
Which immediately begs the question, right? How did 13 colonies defeat a global empire? Because the odds here were just staggering. We are talking about colonial settlements with no established military, no central bank to fund a war, totally fragmented leadership, and they just wake up and decide to go toe-to-toe with an empire rocking the most dominant navy the world had ever seen. There's no way they should have won. But through this crazy mix of attrition, brilliant strategy, and just sheer stubborn resilience, they actually pulled it off.
Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1. The breaking point. Tensions and taxes.
To understand how we got there, you have to look at how Britain started really squeezing the colonies with these crushing, hyper-targeted measures. Take the Stamp Act, for example. It didn't just tax literal stamps. No, it hit everyday paper goods, legal documents, newspapers, even a deck of playing cards. It managed to aggravate literally everyone, from elite lawyers all the way down to everyday guys just hanging out at the tavern. But you know, the real powder keg wasn't just the money itself. It was the fundamental lack of representation. The colonists were being continuously drained of their wealth by a parliament sitting an entire ocean away, a parliament where they had absolutely zero voice. And all of that mounting frustration finally crystallized into a legendary 5-word rallying cry: no taxation without representation. Now, this wasn't just some clever political slogan. It was a line drawn firmly in the sand. It tapped into this deeply universal human frustration over profound unfairness. The underlying message was crystal clear. Look, if you don't grant us a voice in our own government, you simply have no right to take our wealth. Fast forward to 1773, and that simmering anger just completely boils over with the Boston Tea Party. Furious colonists storm the harbor and literally dump an estimated modern equivalent of over $1 million worth of heavily taxed British tea straight into the water. $1 million. This massive, brazen destruction of physical property was the ultimate catalyst. It pushed the entire conflict way past the point of diplomatic return.
Section 2. The spark of war. Armed resistance begins.
Now, when things actually get physical, the mismatch here is just staggering. On one side, you've got local, ragtag colonial militias. These were literally just ordinary citizens who often had to bring their own personal muskets to the fight. Now, sure, they'd eventually be unified into the Continental Army under George Washington, but at first, pretty scrappy. On the flip side, Great Britain. A battle-tested, well-oiled military machine fresh off huge global victories, packed with elite, highly disciplined troops. It was the ultimate David and Goliath scenario, for sure. And then, in 1775, at the battles of Lexington and Concord, that theoretical mismatch turns into a very violent reality. This is it, the famous shot heard round the world. The exact moment these localized citizen militias officially opened fire upon elite British troops, armed resistance had officially begun. The spark caught, and there was simply no going back to the way things were before.
Section 3. Declaring Independence, a bold step in 1776.
Penned largely by Thomas Jefferson in 1776, the Declaration of Independence argued that all men are created equal and have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Now, pause and think about that for a second. Let it really land. In an era where kings ruled vast global empires by supposed divine right, suggesting that fundamental rights actually come from nature and essentially belong to the people was incredibly radical. Right in the middle of a brutal, bloody war, they were laying down a democratic blueprint that would, inevitably, change the entire world.
Section 4. Turning the tide, the path to victory. So the crucial point is, how did they actually pull this off?
Well, it basically comes down to 3 crucial dominoes that rapidly shifted the momentum toward the underdogs. First up, the Battle of Saratoga in 1777. This was a major American victory, and it proved to the watching world that, hey, these colonists could actually win conventional battles. That proof leads directly to the second domino, the French alliance. France jumps in, providing some desperately needed naval and military support, and that vital backing, it sets up the third and final domino, 1781 at Yorktown, where the combined American and French forces trapped the British Army, ultimately leading to their total surrender. And this brilliantly illustrates the grueling endurance required by the colonies.
Just look at the timeline here. From those very first chaotic shots at Lexington and Concord in 1775 to the pivotal turning point at Saratoga, and finally, that massive surrender at Yorktown in 1781. And honestly, it wasn't even until the Treaty of Paris in 1783 that Britain formally recognized the United States independence. That is 8 long, brutal years of continuous, exhausting struggle just to make their declaration an actual reality.
Section 5. A global legacy shaping the modern world. Because at the end of the day, the American Revolution wasn't just some localized dispute over taxes, right? It triggered a massive global paradigm shift. I mean, it resulted in the creation of a brand new nation built squarely on democratic ideals rather than a monarchy. It sent immediate shockwaves across the Atlantic, directly inspiring the French Revolution just a few years later. Ultimately, it firmly established the radical premise that everyday people, you, me, us, have the inherent fundamental right to choose their own government.
So I want to leave you with a provocative idea to reflect on. If ordinary, totally outgunned people could stand up against the most powerful empire on Earth and actually win back then, what can everyday citizens achieve today? It is absolute proof of the incredible, enduring power of collective action. Thank you so much for exploring this history with me and diving into the mechanics of how the modern world was shaped. Keep learning, stay curious, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.